Our top focus for the day remains the Middle East. The Israeli-Hamas war could possibly see its second ceasefire deal to pause fighting in Gaza. But negotiations over the potential deal have reportedly driven a wedge within the Hamas leadership. The mastermind of the October 7 attack that killed 1,200 Israelis was Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. He planned and implemented the devastating assault, keeping Hamas exiled leadership in the dark. Sitting in Doha, Beirut, and Istanbul, they were all caught off guard and watched the carnage unfold much like the rest of the world. Then began Israel's retaliatory campaign in Gaza, which is still underway and where over 27,000 Palestinians have been killed. While Sinwar was countering Israel's assault on the ground, the exiled leadership of Hamas was focusing on damage control and diplomacy, and leading these talks was the Qatar-based leader from Hamas political bureau, Ismail Haniyeh. He held talks with Egypt and the United States, which resulted in the first ceasefire in November of 2023. The four-day ceasefire was later extended to a week where over 100 hostages, including foreign nationals, were released and 240 Palestinian prisoners were freed from Israeli jails. Now reports say the tables have turned. Sinwar and Hamas fighters in Gaza are reportedly exhausted from the battle, and sources say they want to reach a temporary truce. However, Israeli defense officials say the military is making progress in its hunt for Sinwar in Gaza. But Hamas political leadership, led by Haniyeh, is looking for more concessions and is holding out for a complete Israeli withdrawal. Amid fears of negotiations falling apart, Hamas issued a response to the proposed plan. Qatar says Hamas' response to the proposal has been positive in general.
We have received a response from Hamas regarding the framework of the agreement between the parties on hostages. The response contains some remarks on the framework, but in general it is a positive response. But due to the sensitivity of the phase, we cannot go into details. This response makes us hopeful, and we have presented this response to the Israeli side.
Israel, along with the United States, Qatar, and Egypt, worked on the proposal, and now Israel and the United States are both reviewing the response from Hamas. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who is in the Middle East currently, met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
The best path forward, the most effective path forward right now to get an extended period of calm and to work toward an end to the conflict is through an agreement on the hostages. And that's what we're intensely focused on with our partners here in Qatar, Egypt, working with Israel. And of course, now that we have the response from Hamas to the proposal that was put on the table a week or so ago, we're going to be very intensely focused on that.
The latest proposal reportedly includes a 6-week truce and the release of around 130 Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. However, a major sticking point appears to be how many and which Palestinians would be released. According to reports, Hamas' political wing wants almost 3,000 prisoners in exchange for 36 Israeli civilians. The new list is believed to include hardened militants jailed for major crimes such as planning or carrying out attacks against Israel. The deal in November saw mostly Palestinian women and children released from jails. Israeli officials are demanding the release of all remaining hostages. In fact, Israel has also confirmed the death of at least 31 hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly refused to end the offensive in Gaza, and he says the war won't end before Hamas leaders are killed, but he is also under mounting pressure over the handling of the hostage crisis. The Netanyahu government could also be on shaky ground as members of his far-right coalition are opposing any kind of ceasefire. In fact, they believe it could weaken Israel's position in the long run. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.